When they struggle defensively, they are vulnerable. In their 10 losses this season, opponents have averaged 92 points a game against them. Here's Aaron Estrada with the touch for Bama. Latrell Wrightsell Jr. and Grant Nelson. They're going to go 5 out. Nelson's off the mark with his first 3. He was the pivot point in both of the Florida games for Bama. In the win, he played well. In the loss, he fouled out and was not impactful. Those are the starters for the Gators. They've been consistent with their starting 5, but Micah Handlogton did not see much time last night. And Handlogton gets scored on as Nick Pringle comes flying down the lane.
Well, they want to drive Florida's guards because when the help defender comes over, there's that pocket pass. You've got to dive hard to the rim. Well executed there.
Third meeting in 24 days between these two teams. Alabama won on its home court in overtime by 5, 98-93. Samuel leads it short, and then Florida hammered them 105-87 on senior day. A layup for Latrell Wrightsell Jr. He is a difference maker.
Well, A+ for Alabama to start this game based on the scouting report. They're going to play one-on-one down here in the post, hold their own, and then drive those guards to the basket as you saw right there.
Samuel, mid-range. That is a shot that Alabama will invite him to take all night long. Wrightsell gets it right back, and it finds Nelson on the dive. Banks it in.
2 pocket passes and 3 possessions. Alabama has found a recipe against this Florida defense.
Walter Clayton Jr. off balance, and Wrightsell the board. Here's Estrada. Remember, Mark Sears, the leading scorer for this team. He is a very calm influence on the offensive end. He doesn't hunt his own shot. He hasn't needed to. How did those two experiences differ, or were they similar?
Similar in terms of the intensity level, the amount of detail, and really these teams are so familiar with each other. They were telling the team was Alabama, hey guys, I know this looks like the 3rd time we've seen this film and this movie, but we've got to lock in on these opportunities. Their game plan really didn't change much. It was, we just have to execute it better, and that's why you see an 8-0 lead right now from Alabama.
All 8 in the paint so far for Nate Oates' team. This is a squad that is 3rd in the country, making 11 threes per game. But they have flipped the script just like A&M did in game 1, and another rim look broken up. And now Zion Poland over to Will Richard, a great first half player. That was the word in the film room, and Richard gets the first make for the Gators.
He had 13 quick ones last night and was quiet after that.
Estrada for 3. Got it. A sizzling start for Alabama. 5 of 7 from the floor. Tyrese Samuel can't make it from 3 feet away, and here comes Sears.
If you make their big shoot, their offensive rebounding threat goes way down.
Sears brought it all the way back down to the court with him. And now Walter Clayton Jr. with the left-handed layup.
He is really good in transition at the rim. Known more for his 3-point shooting in the half-court set, but when he sees the defense backpedaling, he continues to attack.
This is a high-volume, high-efficiency Alabama offense. You get Wrightsell for the push-off, and all he can do is laugh. It's his first. Bama's scoring 1.4 points per possession. As far as Florida getting into those mid-range big shots, Nate Oates just kind of smirks himself. He said, listen, if we're going to give up 10 to 15-foot jumpers to their 4-man, that's going to equate to about 0.8 points per possession. That's fine, because we're not going to be held to fewer than 1 point per possession. It's a mathematical equation for the former high school math teacher.
Yeah, it's not that Florida's bigs can't make those little floaters in the lane. It's just a numbers game. And good news for Alabama fans is Rylan Griffin, who had that injury, has come back into the lineup. He's a big key to them.
Poland dancing with Nelson. They brought help out in the form of Griffin. Shot clock at 5. Clayton challenge 3 is wide left. And here's Rylan Griffin leading the way for the Crimson Tide, and an open floor foul charged to Walter Clayton Jr.
They've done a nice job of closing out on Clayton and making him put it on the deck. He's a good 3-point shooter, but he is lethal when it's a catch and stick versus putting it on the floor a couple times.
Bama started this game 5 of 7. An overtime win against Arkansas to close the regular season out on Saturday. Griffin is wide left. It's 16 second chance points in that one. And they were slow starting, but they finished strong. 7 of 9 in overtime. Hanlogton gets fouled on the rebound. That is an issue for Grant Nelson. Over the last 4 games, he's committed 9.
They have what they call their .5 game. And when they want to emphasize, make a play and 0.5 seconds are left. Whether that's off the bounce, take your shot, or pass, quick decisions.
5 buckets, 4 assists so far for Alabama. Riley Kugel on the floor. He was the savior last night. In the last 15 seconds, he went to the free throw line 3 times and went a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. Pulling with the push-off. Todd Golden not happy.
Well, Nate Oates has to be thrilled because this has been their weakness. They have been unable to guard the ball without getting blown by. And so for Sears to cut Pullen off there, and first team All-SEC point guard and Pullen, to guard him like that is a huge step in the right direction for this Alabama defense.
It's fair to say that's been an issue for the Florida guards as well. And they were exposed last night multiple times by Georgia getting to the rim. Here's Sears leaving Pullen behind. Then tried to go into him for the whistle. And a foul underneath will go against Alabama and Muhammad Wagee. All right, so what does Florida want to be when they set up their offense in the half court?
Well, they want to get it in their guards' hands. Their bigs are in the game to get offensive rebounds. But watch Alabama's bigs. They're going to hang out right around the logo, the restricted arc. They will not follow their big up there unless there's a ball screen. But look at that congested lane. They want to make Florida pay for having 2 non-shooting bigs on the court at the same time.
Condon gets cut off, turns it into a beautiful blind jump hook. 6'11" freshman from Perth, Australia. Jaron Stevenson on the floor for Bama. Here's Griffin. And back to their leading scorer, Sears. All conference versus all conference, and Sears wins this one. Mark Sears in the matchup in Gainesville had 33 points, drew 8 fouls. A good chunk of those points came in the last 5 minutes of the game when it was already decided, but Florida could not stay in front of it.
When he showed the ability to attack with the right hand, as teams sit on that left, he's got to be able to do it both ways.
Condon had a mouse in the house.
Yeah, this kid's really good. The freshman's going to be an all-SEC player in this league.
Sears off the handoff, fires for 3. Griffin kept it alive. And a trap in the corner keeps it Alabama's way.
Well, not much Sears could do here as they ended up with a switch, and Condon with good recognition. No help comes. They want to play one-on-one in the post, but that's when it's big on big. If you see your guard down there, bring some help. Don't let Condon take advantage.
Condon on the SEC all-freshman team, the first Florida big so honored in 14 years. Griffin turns the corner, turns it over. And Kugel keeps it this way. They say Wrights will touch it when he was out of bounds. Terrell Wrightsell Jr. is just a bundle of energy. He's a 3-point threat. Last year, he was a Big West Conference all-conference performer on the tournament team. Led his team with 16 points a game. Nate Oates has said we cannot have him turn down open threes. Here's Condon. He is a threat from 3. Wrightsell got caught with his hands in the cookie jar. That's his second. And so the red-hot shooter will have to head to the Bama bench, and he's replaced by Estrada. Also into the game, Sam Walters, freshman out of the Villages, Florida, just down the road from Gainesville. The Florida staff took over under Todd Golden. He was already committed to Alabama. He had a great game against the Gators in Tuscaloosa. Kugel had it thrown off of the thigh of Pringle. Estrada all the way down the lane. Nobody stops him. And then we get a wedgie on a touch from Pringle.
That was abysmal transition defense. You must stop the ball And Florida gets bailed out with the easiest two, as Estrada was a little bit afraid of Condon coming over. And I think that caused him to be uncertain at the rim.
Condon with the ball fake. He's shooting 30% from deep. The handoff, and that three's in and out. And the rebound to Pringle. Out to Nelson. 6'11", Grant Nelson, a good ball handler for his size. Sears from the Walters screen, right back to him. Sharpshooter puts up an air ball, and the fight for the rebound will result in a foul on Florida and Condon.
That's a really nice effort by Pringle. I mean, it's a long season. This is a great example of a kid, Nick Pringle, who was suspended for a few games. He didn't do anything wrong off the court or on the court. It was just about being more receptive to coaching, body language, those sort of things that Nate Oates just said, look, you've got to be better, be less emotional. And he has made the most of his second chance here in this season and been a huge impact for Alabama down low.
It is such a guard-driven offense that one of the ways they engage their five-man is by having him be the point person in many ways and they operate from the high post. That's a lot of responsibility and engagement for him when it's really the guards that get most of the scoring opportunities by far. Shot clock at 5. Nelson drive, running hook. Hey, Magic Johnson, where'd that come from?
Grant Nelson, he is a big key to this offense, and maybe he doesn't shoot it quite as well as people thought he would as he transferred in, but he gives them a lot of versatility, can guard 4s and 5s as well on this end of the court.
Foul came before the block and will be charged to Pringle.
How about the running jump hook by Grant Nelson?
Didn't Magic do this against your Sixers in the playoffs or in the finals when you were just a
did. I don't know that I was watching it live, but a little bit of Abdul-Jabbar as well.
Up and down series against Florida this season for Nelson. 22-8 in Tuscaloosa. Just 12-6 in the game in Gainesville, which he fouled out.
He's the guy really that if he can hold his own down low at the 5 spot, which is a tough challenge because he can give up a little bit of weight and strength down there. But we've seen him do it against the likes of Tolu Smith at Mississippi State. When he can play the 5, it allows him to put 4 more guards on the court. And I think that could come into play tonight as Florida likes to play 2 traditional bigs. Make those guys get on the perimeter and guard.
Sam Walters with the rebound. Estrada gets a screen. And a whistle away from the ball. Aberdeen charged with trying to defend Sears and fighting through it. It's whistled for his first. Aberdeen only played about a minute last night. Came in late in the game. Some ball handling responsibilities and an inbound against the Georgia press, but they're going to him early tonight. And an offensive foul on an illegal screen.
Yes, Sears didn't even challenge it. He just got a little too physical right before that screen. He pushes off there. The moving screen. He fouled a couple times on that one.
Condon, surprised he didn't look to shoot that one. Clayton Jr. into Nelson. Rebounded by Pringle. Sears across midcourt. Aberdeen on him. A little pick and roll right down the middle. Pringle missed the hammer. The Gators coming the other way. It's been 2.5 minutes since Florida's made a bucket. Aberdeen push shot is good.
4-point swing there. Alabama did everything right except the finish. Florida made them pay. Nice floater by Aberdeen.
Aberdeen fighting to try and stay in front of Sears, but can't. Commits his second. 3-point Alabama advantage. Gainesville a couple weeks ago. And one of his buddies told me, he said, you know, that first road trip, they asked me if I brought my sleeping bag. I said, no, I know we're on the bus for a while, but I'll be fine without it. And then they pulled up to a chapel when they got to town in a visiting campus. He said, probably going in here just to watch film or maybe have a walkthrough. He was surprised when he learned that they would be sleeping on the gymnasium floor. Welcome to Division III life. And I think Nate Oates still has that blue-collar mentality that you learn being. He'd admit to his nickname playing high school football in Wisconsin. It was Vanilla Ice. He said, yeah, I was rocking one of those cool fade slash high top, flat tops for a little while.
I thought it was awesome how you got him rapping too. That was cool. Right in the middle of the shoot around.
Well, he's rolling in his 5.0. Sears finds Nelson, dive and dunk.
So that's the third time we've seen them get Florida on that play, and another time was a missed dunk. So they're getting a lot of success out of that just short pick and roll, hard dive by the big.
Clayton behind the Houck screen buries the three, and Florida has tied it at 17.
You not go under. You got to go over the top. Send him towards the paint.
Kick out for a Stevenson three. That's an answer. First triple for Jaron Stevenson. Clayton just toying with Sears, but couldn't knock it down. Aberdeen fights for the rebound. It's off of Florida. It will be Alabama basketball.
I love the way Mark Sears is competing on the defensive end. He has taken this challenge personal against the Florida guards. Terrific ball pressure for Sears. Not somebody you really call the head of the snake defensively, but if this guy wants to go to the next level, as you start to compare him and his game to the likes of guys like Jalen Brunson, it's got to be that sort of effort on the defensive end he's shown in this first half.
Estrada got away with a carry, I thought. Here's Nelson. Nelson with the drive. Samuel rejects it. What a recovery by Tyrese Samuel, the Seton Hall transfer. Out of bounds off of Bama. It felt like a mismatch when this drive started.
Yeah, Grant Nelson thinking he's going to be able to get to the rim, take the big off the bounce, but Samuel had other plans.
Walter Clayton Jr., second team all-conference, transferred in from Iona. He played for Rick Pitino, tried to get him to come to St. John's. He chose Florida instead. Riley Kugel down the lane, and a layup. Nelson just bailed on him.
Kugel just brings a different dimension and score off the bench. He would start for most all teams in the SEC, but has really started to thrive late in the season in that six-man role.
Tough pass, threaded the needle. Three no good from Griffin. Estrada picks the pocket of Walter Clayton Jr. Reitzel, nice touch.
You can tell the point of emphasis is attack the rim, get to the paint. As that's now 18 points for Alabama in the paint.
Kugel tried to shake Griffin, and Nelson came to help him. And now Houck for three. Riley Kugel the rebound.
Not sure they should reset. Did that hit rim?
I think it'd have to hit the corner, yeah. It was not pretty. Nelson rejects that one. Samuel picks it up.
Well, not the prettiest possession, but Florida finds a way to get two. And you feel like Alabama's really been the more physical team in this one. But here's Florida just sticking around.
Nelson did not make the three. You said it wasn't a pretty possession. Buzz Williams said we're not going to win a beauty pageant. You know what, Dane Bradshaw, sometimes.
You need any tickets? Well,
no.
No, I won't give you your number. I need.
Misery loves company right now. Big Orange and Big Blue Nation. They would buy each other a bucket of beers Lower Broadway tonight.
Trying to negotiate those cancellation policies right now at the hotel. I don't think it's going to work.
But congratulations on your ticket upgrade next time you go to Food City Center. Pullen penetrates on Reitzel. Back out to Kugel. Shot clock getting late. It's at 5. Samuel trying to drive. Didn't find the rim that time. Bama got off to a hot start, but tide has cooled considerably. They pour their first 5 for an 8-0 lead. Since then, just 6 of 17.
But I still think that's a positive side for Alabama, that they don't just have to outscore you to win the game. yes, they want to be more efficient on the offensive end, but their defensive game plan is where they needed the biggest improvement. They've executed it so far, making role players take the majority of shots for Florida, resulting in 9 of 24 from the floor for Florida.
Foul charge to Kuda. Estrada around the Sears screen and behind Pringle for three. That's a good looking play. Aaron Estrada has his second triple.
You cannot go underneath that. You have to stay connected to these shooters and fight over the top.
Pulling right down the lane. Let me ask you though, from a defensive standpoint, does it make it more difficult when Mark Sears is the one setting the screen for the shooter?
It can, but they've got it. There they go again. They're going underneath.
Out to Reitzel. Tried a wraparound pass, nearly threw it away. So Reitzel Jr. with the drive over Handlogson.
And that's what Nate Oates has talked about. He said, look, if they're going to play two bigs, let's spread them out and make them guard us off the bounce. That's not the matchup Florida wanted to have.
Google a challenge two. Sears intercepted by Poland. Just didn't see him sitting there, and Poland's floater goes. Zion Poland, UC Riverside transfers, got 4. Florida has a 2-point deficit.
He's so poised and good and really exceptional in the mid-range.
Sears bounces it to Nelson. Shares it to Pringle for the jam.
Getting all off that ball screen action, hitting the big. Nice extra feed at the rim.
And a Mark Sears foul. He said, man, I was chested up and in front of him the whole time. That is a second on Sears.
So this is what happens when you go underneath. Excuse me, that was the one where they go over the top. It's Grant Nelson with the extra feed. When that rim protection comes over, you have to anticipate it and know that it's going to be one extra pass to make the defense pay.
Zion Poland to the free throw line. Transfer from Pleasant Hill, California. 4 seasons at UC Riverside, a 1,300-point scorer there, 3-time All-Big West Conference. Two for 2 from the line for Poland. Under 6 to play in the first half, and Sears playing with 2 personal fouls. Turns his back and reverses it in. What incredible body control and vision.
Well, and they get a ball screen going uphill that time. A really unique way to get Sears an opportunity for a driving lane.
Clayton fires first touch.
You got to have a hand up. He is so good and has such a terrific quick release.
Florida hanging right there despite the fact that Alabama has led the entire game. Sears with the shake. Yanked down by Will Richard. Clayton finds Richard on the cut. Nelson defends and gets the board. Sears dumps for Estrada in transition. Florida still looking for its first lead of the game. Clayton picks up the foul and goes to the free throw line. That is his second on Grant Nelson.
Clayton is good off the bounce, but he is great off the catch, and you have to get out there sooner because that's when he is at his best, is when he can catch and stick. But I really like how he's mixed it up. Yes, he's taken 5 threes, but
knocks them both down, and Florida's got its first lead of the game. The chalk has been erased at the top of the bracket. We see it happen again with 3-seed Alabama trailing for the first time. Sears crosses over Poland, steps through, got it taken away. Good hands by the big Alex Condon. Sears is face guarding Poland. They can't start the offense without him. Now Clayton with the drive. Pringle got in the way, and Condon cleaned it up. But Bama ripped it out of the net quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a quick push, but credit Florida with their transition defense.
Griffin driving on Houck. Rebounded by Thomas Houck, the freshman from Pennsylvania.
That was outstanding defensive effort by Houck. He guarded several guards on that play and cleaned up the miss.
Pulling for three. Florida.
Effort has been there. This has just been a difficult matchup for them all season long with the Florida bigs that Damian Fishback tried to talk about. I've got a confession to make. Our old boss, Pat Lowry, she was reviewing our film one time, and she was like, Dane, that last minute of the first half was great. Because you laid out, you quit talking. And that happened to be the minute where I was walking to the huddle. I wasn't even on set. I had a microphone getting ready to do a halftime interview, and I've tried to learn my lesson. I'm doing a good job. But sometimes less is more.
Yeah, genius of a leader. She knew. Here's Sears, was open for a split second. Ball fake and a spin, try to pull a Massey on it, and then Pringle draws the foul from Thomas Houck.
You mentioned what adjustment could Nato make, and right now it looks like he's favoring offense a little bit more. 4 guards around Nick Pringle, so he's trying to keep the physicality at the 5, yet get faster offensively with these 4 sharpshooters they have on the court.
So here's Nick Pringle, junior from Seabrook, South Carolina. At Dodge City Community College and then Wofford. Left that one wide right. The ESPN app.
Look how Pringle sets that shot. He really takes it one hand and barely touches it with the left. Trying to work, become more efficient. That's an area that he must improve on.
The big game against A&M Corpus Christi in the NCAA tournament last year. Bama, the 1 seed in last year's big dance. Here's pulling. Shot clock at 9. Guarded by Griffin right off his injury. And Griffin got off balance fighting over the screen and commits the foul. First on the sophomore out of Richardson High in Dallas.
Pullen, who just controls the pace of this game. He's been so steady and earned all SEC first team honors. This was a kid that was at UC Riverside, and Todd Golden had it in because the head coach, Mike McPio at UC Riverside, is one of Todd Golden's best friends. And Coach Golden said, hey, look, in the transfer portal, I don't know how many coaches can say they've seen 40 UC Riverside games of you, but I can, thanks to the connection he and Coach McPio had from their days at Columbia.
Well, they can't be that close of friends. He stole his player.
Hey, he was hitting that portal no matter what.
Another one coming from Poland, first team all-conference season. It's time for 3rd in school history with 23 consecutive double-figure games. First time since Nick Calathis did it in 1996. Largest lead of the game for the Gators. Are up 8 thanks to the efficiency at the free throw line. Sears all the way downhill. Kugel tied him up. Either he or Condon with the foul. The veteran officiating crew, Joe Lindsey and Don Daly, discuss. Much to the chagrin of Todd Golden, it's Kugel who commits his second.
I am interested to see if Alabama plays any zone. That has been effective against this Florida team this season. We've seen South Carolina have success with it. LSU have success with it. Georgia did it some. Nate Oates said, I hate zone. I played about 2 possessions of it against Missouri 2 years ago, and I got right out of it. But in film today, the players asked, we going to play any zone? He said, we might. Let's see how it goes. Man up first. But if they don't start getting more consecutive stops, let's see if the Tide go to it for the first time this season.
Another free throw for Sears, sitting on 658 points, 3rd most in single season history. Oh, wow. And we'll walk down the other direction. By the way, Reggie King set the school record for scoring in a single season for Alabama in 1979. Sam Walters charged with the foul, his first. Houck checking the elbow before he goes to the free throw line. At a Perkins School, New Oxford, Pennsylvania, where he played football, basketball, volleyball, and golf. That is a full equipment closet.
It's got to get you athlete of the year, right?
It should. Dad Ryan was a football player at Shippensburg. His mom was a great volleyball player. Sears crosses Kugel. Here's Stevenson for three. Out the board. Florida on a 13-0 run. And a Gator turnover. Kugel and Houck just couldn't get on the same page from the outset.
Kugel made his mind up before he even read the defense that he was going to throw that lob and just did not read it well as the help defense came over.
Bama 44% from the floor. Sears into Houck. Rebounded by Condon. Push ahead to Richard. He'll take it himself and he buries it.
Well, for Alabama, Mark Sears is so good at getting to the free throw line and a physical driver, but when he's having to do it against 6'10", it's a lot bigger wall to try to go through.
Stevenson had it knocked out of bounds by Condon.
I mean, these bigs are guarding for Florida. That's what makes Florida so unique, is these guys are old school and they create this transition opportunity as Richard, transfer from Belmont, takes care of the rest. But it's not common these days to just have a 4 and 5, 6'10", 6'10", non-shooting big, but it works for this Florida team.
15 on the shot clock for Sears. Bama has been held in check on the offensive end. Sears steps through and it's taken away. Will Richard with the steal. Here's Clayton. Into the paint. Clayton had it knocked away. It'll be a foul on Latrell Reitzel Jr. and that is his third. Pardon me, they're going to get Estrada.
How many times have we seen Clayton in transition just continue to attack as the defense is scrambling and not stopping the ball? He just keeps going to either side of the rim.
Walter Clayton Jr., Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Player of the Year as a sophomore. He was an elite football player coming out of Lake Wales High School in Florida. He said, I decided to gamble on myself, leave football behind. We had SEC offers and stick with the hardwood at 6'2", 195. He's had an all-conference season for the Gators. Estrada right down the paint. Pump fake, and he sneaks it in. First two for Estrada. That ends a 17-0 Florida run. Minute to play in the half. Florida has led at the half in the previous two meetings with Bama this year.
But this is impressive based on Alabama's start. This is 3 straight halves of basketball that Florida has really dominated Alabama when you consider what happened down in Gainesville. And now a 13-point lead here under a minute to go.
Reitzel off the opposite foot. Houck the board. Kugel has Richard. He'll take it and got stripped. Condon there to pick it up. Clayton somehow keeps the dribble alive and bounces to Richard for the jam. It is a toy store first half for Florida. They are just playing with Bama. A 15-point advantage and a 21-2 run. Sears with the drive and a behind-the-back dish. Pringle finally gets it up. What a close for Florida in this flang. What'd you hear from Nate Oates?
Yeah, I asked Coach what he said to the guys at halftime. He said, well, when things got tough, we didn't continue to play as hard as we needed to. They tracked blue-collar points to track toughness. He said we looked good for the first few minutes, but not for the final few minutes of the half. It was not where I wanted to see it. He added, guys, we've been in this situation before. We were down 10 to these guys at home. We were down against Arkansas, and we found a way to fight back. We still have plenty of time.
All right, thank you. Tyrese Samuel commits the foul. That's his first. Hand off to Estrada. He's got hand locked him on him. And through the double found Pringle, who got it rejected by Samuel.
To Alyssa's point, this is an Alabama team that has seen themselves down double digits. They do not panic because they know how explosive their offense is. This one feels a little bit different, though, with the way Florida's had their number for 3 consecutive halves.
Good control by Samuel as he cleared through on Nelson. Largest lead of the game for Florida.
2 quick fouls by Samuel, though. Hand check there.
So his second. Been a good week for Todd Golden. 19 minutes and 27 seconds away from a semifinal appearance and an extension bestowed on Golden for his success in his first 2 years in Gainesville. Estrada for 3. And it's taken away by Richard. That extension came with a nice little pad to the salary for Todd Golden. He's a Bruce Pearl assistant before going to San Francisco and then getting the job in Gainesville. Poland with a little shrug of the shoulders. He's got a baker's dozen.
We've seen this league and the schools in this league make a commitment to facilities and coaches and to retain talent. Like Todd Golden is a huge key to the continued success in this league. And I think the other thing, coaches don't want to leave this league. This is where you want to be as a college head coach.
Sears hard into hand locked, and it's only the 6th point of the game for Mark Sears. By the way, Commissioner Greg Sankey is in the building tonight. He's been hard at work and reframing the college football playoff. Looks like that hay is in the barn at this point, according to reports by Pete Thamel and company. Clayton's floater's off the mark. But make no mistake, revenue, one big reason these coaches want to stay here. And after high-profile jobs opened up in the ACC, in the Big Ten, 3 different SEC schools went hard to work, and the ADs secured the money to lock down their coaches, starting with Lamont Paris. Here's Tyrese Samuel, guarded by Pringle. Pop, you can't stop, and Samuel gets another paint bucket.
He loves the spin move on that left block. Pringle forgot the scouting report.
Hard foul from Hanlogton.
Well, Pringle does a nice job pushing this catch out away from the block. That's where you want him to get it, but you got to know that he loves to spin back baseline when he's on this side of the court. And Samuel makes him pay. Nice move. A lot of teams in this league don't have a big they can just dump it down to and get a bucket without relying on your guards to be your penetrators for a paint touch. Florida has that in Samuel.
Nick Pringle at the free throw line. Coming out of Whale Branch High School in South Carolina, where they won the 2A state championship. He was a 6'2" player as a sophomore. Grew to 6'9" his senior year, and that's where he is now. And you see the revamped form at the free throw line, trying to keep the hand underneath the ball so the shooting hand doesn't get to the side of it. And the JUCO route and turned into the #1 junior college power forward at Dodge City Community College. Got out of Dodge to head to Wofford before coming to Bama. Bama didn't make a free throw in the first half, 0 for 4. They make their first 2 here.
They've got to string together some consecutive stops because right now Florida's got Alabama in a danger zone, and they have gotten some good looks 3 straight times to Samuel, and so that's what makes Florida so dangerous. If you want to stay glued to their guards and make the 5s beat you, that has worked at times, but Samuel's their best back to the basket threat. And I know Alabama doesn't like zone, but right now you got to figure out a way to get Florida off kilter on the offensive end.
Tyrese Samuel transfer from Seton Hall. He had an adventure at the free throw line last night. He set an SEC tournament record with free throw attempts. He went to the line 23 times. He only made 9 of them.
Mo Diabate checks in for Alabama. This is a guy early in the season that turned 5 seconds of playing time into 7 to 10 minutes on average. Nate Oates sent him in the game in the first half, at the end of the first half, for a 2-for-1 to foul intentionally to get the ball back in a game against Arizona. He said he sprinted to the scorer's table, smile on his face, did whatever he could to help the team for 5 seconds, came right back out. And he said that's the type of attitude we need to have on this team. And Tendon White has earned his way back into the rotation because of that sort of attitude and team first approach.
Whoa! Samuel downhill, and the tomahawk jam gives Florida its largest lead of the game. Tyrese Samuel with no regard for your storytelling.
That's right. Well, we saw Bama get these pick and rolls early in the game, and now Florida a little taste of their own medicine. And man, you gotta turn your phone on airplane mode from up there. Nicely done, Mr. Samuel. He has taken over this second half.
8 of his 12 coming after intermission. Sears at the free throw line now. Muscle Shoals High School. Then to Hargrave, and then Ohio in the MAC. And there's his mom. Hannah Mimes a free throw every time. Says, "Put your hand in the cookie jar."
That's the coolest person I've ever seen.
What would you keep in that purse?
Good question.
My
wife's credit card. Just keep it locked up. Can you tell I got a low credit alert today? I'm in danger zone like this Alabama team right now.
You're away and she's spending all your money. Handlogged and couldn't hit the bunny. We talk a lot about Alabama struggling defensively, and that's a very real thing, but also the nation's leading scoring team got to find some offense at the same time.
And they just keep being one and done on that end of the court. No extra opportunities at the rim because of the interior presence of Florida.
Samuel working on Nelson. Lost it, and Handlogged and found it. First bucket for the sophomore transfer from Marshall, Micah Handlogged.
Florida's third best in the nation at getting their own misses. Alabama's done an okay job there, but even when they make a miss, they can't collect it.
Do you ever find that even for an offensive-minded team like Alabama, it's hard to have confidence on that end of the floor when you're giving up so many buckets on the other end?
That's a great point. Bruce Pearl used to tell our team back in the day, don't allow your lack of offensive success to dictate your defensive intensity. And I think you hit the nail on the head. That happens to this Alabama team too often.
Estrada is able to bank it in. That's his first bucket this half. 19-point deficit. Another wave of Gators ready to check in. Florida has won the SEC tournament 4 times. The most recent was 10 years ago under Billy Donovan. They didn't lose a game against an SEC opponent that year, 21-0. That led them to the #1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Another bucket for Samuel.
Well, Nate Oates is furious because that had to be 3 seconds. Pullen was stopped in the lane holding the ball, and then he's got to get out of the lane. Tough break for Alabama.
Sound like somebody who waits for the crosswalk to light up before you move across the street here in Nashville. Upset-minded team. Ohio State put a scare into Illinois in Minneapolis, mini Indianapolis, whichever you choose. Illinois held on to knock them off by 3. It's been a long week. You're allowed to laugh at me. I just don't care.
You're letting fatigue become a factor on this broadcast. You get some Gator light.
New Mexico, by the way, will tip off later tonight against Colorado State, the Mountain West tournament in Las Vegas. Condon carried it out of bounds, went down hard.
Condon's like, how is that not a foul? Pringle fell on top of me. I mean, Estrada gets caught in the air. I think he's got Pringle on the roll. And maybe they corrected this, but Condon's got it. Guy falls on him. They say, off on you, but they correct it.
Second on Pringle. Didn't hurt that bad. He's just a chip.
Golden wants to review it.
Further look at it. And I thought that was, because it wasn't a play that decided the game, but it was just one example of how these staffs work so hard and in concert, and how head coaches trust the guys. There's Jonathan behind him. looking on. Trust guys to be voices in the back of their head and not just yes men who roll with it, but here's what I see, coach. Here's something we can challenge.
Here's the rolls. Here's who's in foul trouble. Here's the points per possession. Here's what we're giving up in man versus zone. And today with the net rankings, they also understand that margin of victory matters. And you have staff members that are telling the head coaches, like, hey, I know we're up 12 right now. If we can get this thing up to 17, here's what it could do to the net ranking. That's why these coaches, all of a sudden you say, why are the starters still in late in the games?
Yeah.
And it matters. The walk-ons aren't getting the playing time like they used to.
There's no doubt about it. But Ken Palm says you're supposed to beat a team by 18 or favor to beat a team by 18, and you don't, then you lose efficiency points. So those formulas have been altered and tightened, and some of them are a mystery to these coaches, but they used to be known pretty well. I told this story last night. 5 years ago when Buzz Williams was at Virginia Tech and living on the bubble, that was the second on Condon, by the way, they were losing a game to Louisville late. He fouled multiple times to stop the clock, even though there wasn't a chance they're going to win the game, so he could whittle the deficit to single digits. The difference in their rating, 0.00004%. So even if he had done that perfectly over the course of 10 games, it would have been such a minuscule impact. But these coaches scratch and claw over every decimal point and even 4 spots before that. So when it comes to Selection Sunday, they're in a better position.
So moral to the story is when you see a trailing coach call a timeout late, stop booing and be sensitive to the net situation.
One more time. There's Mom wanting him to knock down another. Yeah, be sensitive to that. Where's the purse? It has helped Sears to make, coming into this game, 30 of his previous 32 free throws. Clayton for 3. Fouled on the 3. Charged to Rylan Griffin his second.
I love how he comes off this screen and he sees Griffin over pursuing and he stops on a dime. Instead of just continuing to cut, look how he's going to stop here and get just a little bit of opening. Really heady play there as he saw his defender going towards the ball. Tom, for this Alabama team, similar to other teams coming in, you worried about Tennessee's consistency scoring outside of Dalton Connect. That reared its ugly head. You worried about Kentucky's defense. We've seen that question mark pop up after Texas A&M put near 100. And Nate Oates has publicly said, look, we are not a tough defensive team. We've been exposed several times this season. And this is not the effort he wanted to see in the SEC tournament. So a lot of the question marks still remain as some of the top SEC teams go into March Madness.
Here's Estrada working on pulling. I would counter with this, and I think perhaps Kentucky is a good example. This Alabama team could be a good example. First of all, styles make the fights, right? It depends on who ends up on your bracket as to whether or not that's going to play out well for you. Google has it rejected. But my counter is, yes, there are inconsistencies, as there are with any team, but offensively, they are so good, Kentucky and Alabama. Florida is also top 10 in the nation in scoring.
Tennessee has a first-team All-American in Dalton Connect.
Yeah, I think you get to the point this season, like Florida and Alabama, you're facing a team for the 3rd time. They know you so well. They know all. I'm not learning anything more than I don't already know through the exhaustive film study that we put together. Google has another one coming. And then you get into the tournament next week, and you're facing a team that you likely haven't seen all season or maybe in a couple of years. 4 for Cougar. 22-point lead for Todd Golden. Sears penetrates and takes it off the glass. By the way, there is one less hoop in the building today. If you remember, the Florida band had a fake hoop that they rose when Georgia was shooting free throws in the first half yesterday. It was nearly regulation size. It was a great little band prank that they pulled, but I ended up on the elevator with, I don't know, 76 of them back at the hotel last night. And they were very disappointed. They had to reinvent a way to bring that fake goal because stadium security told them that they couldn't bring the pole in.
Yeah, cute idea, but cursed the game. The free throw shooting for both teams was abysmal. I blame it all on the prop.
You think maybe Tyrese Samuel nudged up against one of them and said, hey, can you just leave that back in the Embassy Suites, please? Hand locked and reverses in, and it falls in.
They just keep coming at you. This stable of bigs. They start 6'10", 6'11", then they bring in another 6'10", 6'11" with fresh bodies. They just wear you down on the interior throughout the course of a game.
All of the commentator talk leading into this tournament was that it was wide open. And I think that those of us who have covered the league all season believe it. But now we're seeing that, as we'll see. Absent a massive Alabama comeback, the top 3 seeds all lose on the same day.
Yeah, you felt like 1 through 6, maybe 7 could get in there, but now all of a sudden you got 7 seed A&M, and then Mississippi State, what, 8 or 9 still alive?
Yep, that's arena most nights. That's why your feet are so cold, Dane.
And just
oh, that's why. Doesn't explain why Alabama has been shooting ice cold. 3 of 16, 25 years here in Smashville. 14th time the SEC tournament has been in Music City. I cannot imagine, and we're locked into staying here for a handful of years, a better site for the SEC men's basketball tournament. Here's Pringle at the free throw line. 7 for him. We have a chance to darken some honky-tonk doors tonight since you don't have to work tomorrow. Maybe Dane Bradshaw will be out on the town.
Well, stage name is D Dizzle, but I'll enter as Dane Bradshaw.
I want you and Slay to hang together. How's Slay feeling after he walked in with the Tennessee tee today?
He ain't feeling good, huh? We got to get some hot takes from Slay up there. We're still not talking since he didn't invite us to the wing fest he had yesterday that he bragged about.
Yeah, he shut us out of the wings. Condon off the mark. It will be live post-game from the set here in Bridgestone Arena. Reitzel Jr. for 3.
They got to do the full show. No cheating either. You can't tape the C and D segment ahead of time. They're going to go to bed late once again.
For the fellas, Ron, I'm surprised you're wearing an orange tie today.
He's switching. He's saying this is Auburn.
Well, we need to get Ron Slay to come out of his shell. It's a big shell, but it's a shell nonetheless. Pringle back to the free throw line. 3 for 6 from the line tonight.
I've got a great Ron Slay story.
Can you say
he's
it
not
on
here
air?
to defend himself. Yes.
Okay.
You got to bear with me. A statute of limitations. Fraternity guy at Tennessee told me this story a couple weeks ago. He said, man, one time Ron Slay came to our fraternity house, and there was an issue about some guy's girlfriend, and it was about to possibly be a scuffle.
Yeah.
Campus police come up, and Ron puts his arm around me. He says, we're going to be friends right now. The police come up, and he says, any problems here? It goes, no, we're just chilling. In fact, we're about to go hoop in the back. Fraternity's got a basketball goal. And now at Chattanooga Dennis, Dr. Webb shot baskets in the backyard of the fraternity house when a fight was about to ensue with the campus police. That's called being quick on your feet and adjusting to the situation.
It's a conference player of the year right now, peacemaker of the year.
He didn't. All SEC player did not win the Community Service Award.
God, it's got 9. I think he served the community that night. In and out from Sam Walters. If you would like to share any other stories about Ron Slay that you have from his time on campus, just find Dane Bradshaw on Twitter. Walter Clayton Jr.'s got 17. It's story time about Ron Slay. Listen what he got.
My Uber driver from the airport was name dropping Ron Slay like the entire ride to downtown Nashville. He's the most popular guy in town.
The best complementary basketball in the league right now with their offense and their defense in the inside-out game. That's Janai Broome, transfer from Morehead State's become an All-American under Bruce Pearl.
Not the offensive performance Alabama was expecting or has been getting over the course of the season. Nation's best 90.8 points per game, only shooting 41% of this one. And 4 of 19 from 3. Here's Samuel down the lane. Rolls off. Sears the rebound.
See if they can get some quick transition buckets here. And they can get some little run. Try to get this thing to a manageable number. It's just not their night.
Sears got whistled for his third. I want to climb inside your head right now. Since I mentioned it 5 minutes ago, now have you noticed how cold your feet are?
And I got 2 socks on.
Well,
4 total.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad math. The one sock kind of guy.
Look, I'm a
Dane
one
didn't
sport
know
kind of
this
guy
was a,
too.
He didn't
That's
know
not
this
true.
was a hockey arena until tonight.
Not true. I just don't know my hockey trivia. All apologies to the Predators. That's their name, right?
Iowa made the Stanley Cup Finals 17. Walters got his hands on it and a tripping foul. Well, this tournament started off with a couple of bangers for us on Wednesday night and a Freaky Friday. Not exactly what the ticket scalpers had in mind.
No, it's been an odd tournament. But I think the most important thing from the league's perspective, trying to get as many teams in as possible. Mississippi State, Texas A&M have stolen the show. When you've got your back against the wall and opportunities in front of you, Chris Jans and Mississippi State stepped up huge, and then Buzz Williams put any doubts to rest that they're an NCAA tournament team.
Clayton knocks them both home. He's got 19. I think an interesting storyline to follow through the weekend will be the growth potential for Auburn, which would be the best seed remaining. And if Bruce Pearl's team can get another tournament championship like they did a few years ago, what impact would that have on their seed line? They come in with an incredibly high net ranking. Here's Walters in traffic. They started off at 33. They have been so steady and consistent. They're 6th in the net. The net strength of schedule is okay. The quad 1 and 2 record is 10 and 7. Estrada off the window.
That's just the 6th fast break point for Alabama in this game. We talked about them being one and done on the offensive end, and Florida's just been brilliant. Only 4 offensive rebounds, but see if that bucket can't get Alabama going a little bit. Try to get this thing to 12 or 10 with 5-6 minutes to go.
Clayton into the paint. Cut off. Nelson gambled, lost his balance, and Tyrese Samuel delivers. Again, 16 points for Samuel.
Nate Oates is going to bring Pringle in to try to get a little bit more physicality down there. Frank Nelson going to lose his footing, but Samuel has just been a terror in this second half. In this position and loves that spin move on that block, and that was probably not even necessary when his defender's on the ground. But Alabama came into this game saying, hey, Florida imposed their will on us, and they threw the first punch with a quick start. But Florida woke up, made their adjustments, and said, let's get back to Florida Gator basketball. And that's a scary sight when you see the inside out. And the biggest knock to me on Florida this year, yes, defensively, that can be an issue at times, but 40 minutes of basketball. And other than that start, they have played a really consistent ball game here with 8 minutes to go.
Mark Sears' mom coaching him on the way to another couple of makes from the free throw line. This is in a game of games where this is about the spot where Mark Sears just took over. It wasn't enough to get Alabama to win, but he can play with an offensive freedom that can allow him to go on individual runs. There's the double and a kick to the corner for three. Buried by Will Richard, his first points this half.
And it all starts with Samuel. He's had so much success. He requires a double team now. Makes a perfect read to the opposite corner.
Griffin into Samuel, who commits the foul. It's the fourth on the Florida bid.
Griffin coming back from that injury. 0 for 4 in this game. Hadn't looked quite like himself.
Who does he look like?
Maybe Griffin from a year ago. No, just a rusty Griffin instead of Ryland Griffin. How about that?
That's good.
Shake some of that off, though, because they need him. He's really been an unsung hero for this Alabama team. When their offense is at their best, it's when he's in the game.
I mean, think about the shoes he had to fill replacing Brandon Miller at that 3 spot. Well, Griffin knocks them both down.
Yeah, and not only the roster turnover for Nate Oates, but the staff turnover. 3 of his assistants got 3 D1 head coaching jobs. And for them to put together the season they have, I think has been one of the better coaching jobs in the league, despite the performance his team is showing in this SEC tournament.
For the nation's best offense put together a big.
He's got Auburn jumping ahead of Bama as the 14th overall seed, which would give the SEC, of course, Tennessee a 2 seed, Kentucky a 3, Alabama and Auburn 4, with South Carolina having lost that game likely at 5.
Good news that even after the adjustments, Kentucky's holding on to a 3 seed. I'm sure that lead in the clubhouse, they hope to hold on to it over the next 2 days heading into Selection Sunday. One of the ways they're able to move up to that came after the Duke loss in the ACC tournament. Florida had a 15-point lead at the break. They've outscored Bama by 9. Nelson said, "Put me," in the video clip. Follow jam and a foul.
One of the few times we've seen Alabama get an extra shot with an offensive rebound here as Grant Nelson flies in. Great effort there to attack from the backside. Get himself an and one.
Right on the head of Alex Condon.
Some full court pressure.
Poland with the spin at the timeline. Directs traffic and puts it on the floor. Houck into the corner, and they work it to Condon. Loose ball pushed to Houck again, with the shot clock winding down. Aberdeen. Another chance for the Gators. 8th offensive rebound of the night. Houck for 3. Stevenson spins and takes it off the glass and in.
You got to admire this Alabama bench continuing to stay in it. Nate Oates fights all the time. He's imploring his team, get up, we're trying to press. Stevenson gathering himself for a minute. I don't know if he got bumped on that last play or just winded.
They leave Condon all alone. And Alex Condon splashes down a 3. His dad, Damon, a great footy player growing up in Australia. His mom, Leah, part of the Australian national swim team. And Ryland Griffin knocks down his first triple of the season. Pardon me, of the game. Poland sends Nelson to the ground, and Richard misses his 3. Under 6 to play. The efficiency for Florida is going down fast, but they've built themselves such a large cushion, it doesn't seem to be much of an issue.
Alabama unable to clean up the defensive glass.
There's Denzel Aberdeen. Sears to Nelson. Oh, man. And then Sears fighting for it. Gets it to Estrada for the layup.
That's why he's a first-team All-SEC guy. There's no quitting Sears. It's been one of those nights for Alabama. When you're down 22, you don't typically see this type of effort. But watch Sears and White here. That he's going to be the first to the deck. Dive on this loose ball. Get it to Estrada for the 2. Be curious how Nate Oates addresses this game. I mean, likely not going to see Florida again this year. You want to have your team playing confident basketball in a short memory, yet you still have to address what went wrong in this game and in the film room. Such a balance.
Yeah, what's fixable about what went wrong for Bama tonight?
Well, nice dunk there by Pringle. I think it's just more reinforcement that, guys, we can't just have our offense bail us out game in, game out. And there's been multiple examples this season where teams have just gotten the best of them on this end of the court. And so it's trying to find the best defensive rotations. This has been a tough matchup for them with these Florida bigs.
There's a walk for Samuel, but what a feed from Clayton.
I think another thing, depending on who they get matched up with the NCAA tournament, is, hey, if they got a bunch of bigs, we got to figure out if we're going to double team down low in the post, play a little bit of zone if you got to, but figure out a way to help your front line.
Estrada for 3. Nobody checked him.
I think the other thing, too, for Florida is they got the message from Todd Golden. Yes, they won against Georgia, but that was not a good defensive effort. They were getting beat off the bounce all game long.
Sam Walters with his second triple. Florida lead whittled down to 15 thanks to a 7-0 Bama run. Clayton lost his footing, and they'll get Nelson for the foul.
We were talking about, Tom, you mentioned it a few minutes ago. We're telling people for weeks, buy your tickets to Nashville because you're going to see some of the craziest basketball you've seen in years, and it's already delivered. We're not even a Saturday.
If you're into the trivia, this will be the highest seed total we've had in the semis. A seed total with 6 seed Florida, 7 A&M, 4 Auburn, and 9 Mississippi State brings it to 26. In 2018, we had a 2, 4, 6, and 9. That was a 21-point total if you add them up. And that's 21 for Walter Clayton Jr. now. Sears off the window. And of the top scoring teams in the SEC and also the country, the only one to advance to the weekend will be Florida. Bama #1 in scoring, Kentucky #2 in the country. And they'll both be going home early. What a move by Houck.
How about old school MJ a little bit, showing you the right, then switches it last minute with the left.
Pringle can't stop popping and got another jam. He's got a dozen. Defense optional here in the final 4 minutes.
We saw this in the Kentucky game, even though Florida with a bigger cushion than A&M had. But the problem for Kentucky wasn't getting scores, it was getting stops. And that seems to be the same issue right now with Alabama.
Lob down low, knocked away by Pringle, but Samuel picked up another foul.
Well, this has not been Alabama's best offensive performance, but they've gotten some good looks. And this was a good one on Florida's end. What an athletic play. These bigs and their athleticism on the perimeter has been the difference. And Pringle going up high to get that alley-oop. Been very impressed with Alabama's continued fight here down the stretch, even though they have not played their best basketball.
Tyrese Samuel at the free throw line, where last night was a journey. How do you handle that as a coaching staff? He is after a 9%.
Don't want to go back to the free throw line, so they start playing softer. He never let the free throw line and the lack of success there stop his style of play. And it's rewarded him in this one, and good to see him go 4 for 4, get his confidence back through Todd Golden.
Two-time All-Canada playing, growing up in Montreal, Quebec. Estrada got fouled by Aberdeen. Florida could be crossing the century mark for the second time against Alabama this year. Here's Aaron Estrada. A lot of gear in his closet, right? Coming out of Woodbury, New Jersey, spent a prep year at St. Benedict's, Oregon, St. Peter's, Hofstra, who was a MAC Rookie of the Year at St. Peter's, made 14 starts at Oregon in the 2021 season.
Yeah, he's been terrific for Nate Oates. He's probably the one guy that I thought should have been on the first or second, probably second All-SEC team, was left off. He's been close to having several triple-doubles and finally got one at Ole Miss. He fills the stat sheet for him and kind of the unsung hero as Mark Sears gets a lot of the attention, rightfully so, but Estrada has been extremely consistent for Nate Oates and really changed his game. He came in shooting a lot of the mid-range jumpers. It took a while for him to learn, like, hey, the numbers don't add up. I got to get to the rim more. And he's become a complete player for this Nate Oates system.
Against Ole Miss, that was 18 points, 10 boards, and 10 assists, the 4th triple-double in school history. Out to the free throw line. Florida has eclipsed 100 points 3 times this season. Samuel can rest the remainder of the 2-14. For 2. Talk to Mark Sears about his growth as a player this season, and they lost so much talent off of last year's team, including, of course, the Player of the Year, Brandon Miller. And he didn't talk about, when you ask him about what's the biggest leap forward you made this season, and it's not about the offensive freedom that he's had. It's not about the scoring going through the roof and being one of the top scorers in the league. Whether it's about the leadership and the maturity to bring the rest of these new teammates along with him. And that is commendable.
And he's really put the work in. And we said at the start, not only one of the best players in the SEC, you could argue he's the most improved player in the league as well.
Yeah, he and Sean East would be up for that conversation. Griffin in transition. Just in terms of scoring total. Free throws coming the other way.
For Florida, this is the balance you want, right? They've got 5 guys in double figures. So the guards lead the headlines and get the accolades, but the bigs clean up the mess. They get the stops. They embrace their role as screeners and rebounders. And that's what makes this Florida team so successful. Well, I mean, it was early February, and this was a projected 11 seed. And over the course of 4 weeks, they climbed all the way to a 6. So they just went on a tear in the middle of SEC play.
This will be their 8th win in their last 11 games. Sears sizes it up. Stevenson collecting some points late. Full court pressure with a minute to play. And a throwaway off of Houck. Here's Reggie Miller. 59.8 of the clock, down 14. Two Saturdays ago, Alabama had College game day in town. They had Tennessee. on their campus. It was a disappointing loss and a real gut punch for this team. And then they went in midweek to Florida on the Gators senior night and lost their second in a row. Sears with a beautiful reverse. And talking with Nate Oates that Tuesday in Gainesville, and he said, you know what, I think we're just tired. We're just an exhausted team physically and emotionally. After those 2 L's, they came back home and got an overtime win against Arkansas. Nobody wants to take a loss. But the silver lining for this Alabama team is that they get a chance to rest over the course of the weekend, figure out who you're playing on Sunday night, and then come back strong next Thursday or Friday. 16 for Zion Pollard.
Nate Oates will tell you himself that, hey, the most successful teams he's had go deep in the tournament, including the successful Buffalo team. It wasn't the offense all the time. It was the fact that their defense was usually top 30 or so in KenPom, and they've just not had that complimentary basketball so far this season.
Bama keeping the pressure on.
You know, this is a Florida team that, like I said, not too long ago, Clayton puts a bow on it, gets them up to the century mark. It's the Florida Gator team that you wondered, would they even make the tournament? And yet, 5-6 weeks later, you're wondering how far are they going to go in the tournament, because when you see this sort of effort, there's no reason why they can't be included in one of the SEC teams you could see Sweet 16 and beyond.
That's it on Griffin. He fouls out. Florida and Texas A&M will meet for the second time this season tomorrow. The Gators went to College Station to open February and lost a 1-point game back on February 3rd. That game was played in the 60s after the
A&M entered this tournament quietly as the most confident team nobody was really talking about. They picked up a couple road wins, had a 3-game winning streak. They've got their lineups figured out with Manny Obatsky inserted to where it's not just Taylor Radford. And they've continued that hot streak in this SEC tournament.
51% shooting, including 7 of 20 from deep for this Florida team. Todd Golden able to empty his bench. Cooper Josephsberg commits the foul. He'll be in the box score.
For Todd Golden and his team, I think they want another shot at A&M. They remember how close they were after they had that huge win, overtime win against Kentucky. Then they went to A&M and had them on the ropes and weren't able to come away with it. Lost the battle at the free throw line that Coach Golden was not thrilled about. And that's such a tough part of playing Texas A&M, is to be able to defend them without fouling. It was a 1-point loss in College Station early February.
Another tally for Sears. He's got 22. Florida will run the clock out, and the Gators, for the first time in 5 years, will play on into the weekend and make a semifinal appearance. They get